The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is the Angry Chicken coming to you in the most timely manner an episode of the Angry Chicken has ever come to you, including BlizzCon episodes, because we're too busy running around BlizzCon to actually go record a damn podcast for y'all. I'm Garrett, she's Jocelyn, and holy butts do we have a show for you today.
Butts indeed, Garrett. Butts indeed.
So much to talk. I'm so excited. This expansion announcement. We get to talk about an expansion announcement. Which means there's a news bumper. Before we do that, I want to thank those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. You want to talk to us on Discord? You want an ad-free version of the feed? You want to just support us because you like our show and we're independent? And as excited as we are about a new expansion, there might be some things in here that we don't like, and we get to say that we don't like them because we're not paid by Blizzard. We're paid by you. So thank you for the support. Check it out, patreon.com/TAC. And now, Jocelyn. No, just right into it. Here we go.
Good news, everyone!
Grab your wizard robe, grab your wand, grab your familiar, because we're going to Scholomance Academy.
I'm super excited about this. This is like right in my wheelhouse. This is the sort of thing that it's like they took something in WoW that I knew and then put the Hearthstone spin on it, and it reminds me of Karazhan in that way so much. It's giving me those kind of vibes. It's this like super creepy, serious thing in Warcraft, and Hearthstone comes in and goes, no, let's make it fun.
Let's make it fun. Yep, but still a little creepy because Kel'Thuzad's involved.
Kel'Thuzad is still there.
We can't trust him.
With the kitty.
Yeah, Bigglesworth. He's
in that key art.
Not one of the previewed cards.
But he's in the key art, so he's going to be central in some way.
Bigglesworth, playable hero, confirmed.
Ooh.
Next class. Not Monk. You thought it was going to be Death Knight. It's going to be
It's kitties.
Mr. Bigglesworth.
He's in a class of his own. I love it.
Do you think the WoW devs, when they were like, I don't know, Kel'Thuzad's got a cat. You want to do like a Dr. Evil reference from Austin Powers? Yeah, just throw it in. It'll be funny. Do you think they thought it was going to have like, it was still going to be around? We were still going to be obsessing over Bigglesworth this many years later?
No. There are so many little Easter eggs in WoW that never really amount to anything. But I think when you involve a cat, you should just expect that that's going to stick around. It's going to hit a chord. Yeah. So I'm with you, by the way, in your excitement for the theme. It's like clearly we don't have an arc this year, which I think they've alluded to. I don't know if they ever came out and said like straight up, we're not doing an arc this year. Maybe they did. I don't remember. They sure did. Yeah, they absolutely did. They said, like we were experimenting with storytelling last year with the 3 expansion arc, and they were pretty happy with it, but it's not what they're doing this year. This year, They just are doing their standalone expansions, which I kind of love, I'll be honest. It just seems like it gives them more room to experiment maybe and go off in crazy directions, because then they don't have to tie it to the next expansion. Like, they can just have fun.
Yeah, I like both. I liked last year. I mean, how many damn times on the show did you or I say 2019 was the best year for Hearthstone in the history of the game? Like, it was a good time to play it. But theme-wise, yeah, like, I like League of Evil. I like Reno and crew. But it got a little old. I think by expansion number 3, I was sick of more the League of Evil than the League of Explorers. I did find Reno in particular. You can't be sick of Reform.
Yeah, maybe not Rafam or the others, but yeah. I really liked Reno. I really liked Finley. So keeping them around wasn't, the end of the world. But by the third expansion, I was like, all right.
Yeah, but there's a lot of...
we can move on from this theme now.
There are so many cool settings in Warcraft. Mm-hmm. And while we did visit different settings last year, theming stayed pretty similar. So yeah, I'm particularly stoked about going to Scholomance. One of my favorite dungeons in like all of World of Warcraft. Blew my mind way back in the day. And now we get to see it like when it's not a dead, rotting husk of what it used to be, super spooky, scary location. Although looks like things like Rattlegore are still running around. If the previewed cards are to anything to be, drawing conclusions from. And Kel'Thuzad may have skin, but he's definitely up to something.
Oh, yeah. That is like the creepiest face of all faces in that key art. Like,
channeling
that is an evil man.
Extreme Snape energy.
Yes.
I'm just going to come out and say it. Somebody was like, I'm going to use Snape as some reference for this. I'm going to do it. It's just in there. It's just in there. Yeah, I'm really stoked for this one. The whole like who hasn't wanted to go to magic school? And I don't mean for like being a magician. If you're a magician, nothing against you, but I mean like casting arcane magics from my hand.
I was gonna say I want to make sparkles come out of my fingers. Can I do that, please? Poof.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could do that with like I don't know, like a gas line up your sleeve. Some lighter fluid.
I wish I had glitter like within arm's reach, which is kind of surprising that I don't. But Matt might get mad at me if I just went, I can do it. Sparkles from my hands, glitter all over the living room. I can just
see him walking in and being like, so you're cleaning that up. And then
I'll just be like, no, your life is glitter now. You should have known that that's what you signed up for.
I just imagine that this is a daily occurrence in the Carney household.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've got 135 new cards confirmed coming in this set. We have dual class cards as part of that card count, which is crazy in its own right. We had tri-class cards in Mean Streets of Gadgetzan.
We did.
These are now dual class cards. They're going to be available to both classes, and they can also be combined with other dual class cards for a tri-class deck. Though they have specified that each dual class combo is aiming for a different archetype, so they are, quote, unlikely to synergize.
Right. So this is confirmed to us in our interview that we had the other day with Dave Kosak. And basically the idea is that like, yes, when you are playing as one of the classes, so let's say that I'm playing as a druid, then I will have access to the hunter druid cards and the shaman druid cards, and I can build a deck. They just kind of become druid cards regardless of what their other half is. And then, so when you build a deck, technically you could include both of those dual class cards, but hunters and druids share, like beasts is kind of like where their shared powers come from. And then druids and shamans share kind of mana manipulation. So the ability to gain mana when you're not supposed to, being overloaded, like all of that kind of budget manipulation is very druid and shaman. Now, will beasts and mana manipulation make a good deck? Maybe not. Maybe the mana stuff is more for spell druid and beasts are more for a tokeny type thing. We don't really know because we haven't seen all the cards yet. But the idea is, although technically all those cards will be druid cards, they probably won't make a great deck because we're going to be pushed in kind of two archetypal directions that may or may not archetypal. I don't know if I made that word up. It sounded like a word that would work.
I'm going to go with that. I will allow it as the keeper of the English language.
Archetypal directions.
But who knows what's going to
in two directions, and they may or may not actually gel together. So,
but who knows what's going to happen in Wild, Jocelyn?
Exactly. It is possible to combine all of those cards into one deck of the shared class.
And then you go to Wild and you get some tri-class cards from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, and it probably is going to stink, but who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised. So, 40 cards out of the 135 card set of Scholomance Academy are going to be dual class cards, and 10 of those 40 are going to be Professor Legendaries, one for each of the class pairings.
Which means that there's one for each class pairing. So there will be like a hunter druid and a druid shaman, meaning druids get 2 professor legendaries and repeat overall classes. So it's really interesting. And it seems like they're kind of giving a lot of variety. And it seems like a lesson learned from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, where dual class cards are pretty cool, but it never really or not dual class cards, sorry. The, oh shoot, what were they called?
Tri-class
cards? Tri-class cards. Yeah. The different, like gangs in the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. There were some that saw play, but it was never like you built a deck around them necessarily. And I think that they just didn't really lean into the idea enough. And I think they probably looked at the success of dual class arena and went, look, when we just lean into it and let you play with like a whole bunch of cards that go both ways, then, fun things happen. So let's expand from there and see what we can do. And I think that's why we're getting such a huge chunk of the set that is kind of leaning into this idea of dual class cards. Now we're still going to get class cards for everybody. We're still going to get neutrals, but there's a really big design space in this set that is devoted to this idea of dual classes.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, a large part of the set is always dedicated to class cards in the first place. So if they're doing dual class, makes a whole lot of sense that a decent chunk are going to be dedicated to that. To me, honestly, like, that almost sounds a little light. I kind of expected, once I heard that dual class cards are going to be a thing, I thought maybe it'd be even more of the set. But I also have to imagine it's quite the mind bender to design cards for use in more than one class.
Yeah, and I think not only that, but in order to attempt to keep some sort of class identity and not just have hunters and druids playing the exact same deck, I think you need to allow for some of the space in the class sets to be for class specific cards, so that when hunter plays the hunter druid cards and when druid plays the hunter druid cards, they feel different enough in their kind of curves and play styles that you still feel like you're playing like a hunter. Like maybe the hunter beast druid deck is more aggressive because of the hero power, and maybe because of, druids control-y and mana rampy stuff that they do have access to. It's kind of core to their class. Maybe that lets them do like bigger end game beasts and like less aggressive, more control, more tempo. Like, there could be different ways. Again, we don't know all the cards in both the classes, so it's really hard to speculate too far. But I think that reserving some of those slots for class specific cards allows even the crossover decks to remain different enough to remember what class that you're playing as a base.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what they've shown so far makes a lot of sense. And also kind of the statements they've made in terms of where their heads are at in terms of designing these dual class cards and the synergies for the class pairings. Again, I like that they've put an emphasis on the class pairings and basically said to us, like, hey, there's synergies we're attempting here per pairing. So be on the lookout for those, and hopefully it should guide you in your deck building. Now, before we move on, there obviously are bundles up right now, actually. My understanding was once the announcement happens, the bundles are going to hit the game. So I don't always love talking about bundles because it makes it sound like we're trying to sell bundles, which we get literally nothing from. We get no kickback whatsoever. However, the mega bundle this time does have a pretty interesting addition, which is that there are 5 golden Scholomance Academy packs if you get the mega bundle, which we haven't seen them do this before. We've seen golden packs, but never like expansion specific and never included with an expansion pre-order.
Right. So we've seen golden packs before, and I believe, though I can't remember a source, but I believe that golden packs have their own timer. So I don't think that there's like any way to try to like manipulate the, open your first. Yeah. Okay. So opening your first few packs as your normal packs and then switching to your goldens doesn't like push you further towards a legendary or anything. It's just, you will hopefully within your first 5 golden packs get a legendary, and you will definitely within your first 10 normal packs get a legendary as per the kind of like bad luck protection. But yeah,
the super pity timer, first 10 packs. I used to refer to it as the Garrett timer, but I owned you in card opening last time, so
gonna
remind you, Jocelyn, that not only was the last expansion the one that brought in Demon Hunter, but the one where I got more legendaries than you.
But I am gonna buy the bundle legit on my birthday, which is today. So since I got the expansion announcement, the bundle's available. I can only assume that I'm gonna get like all the legendaries because it's my birthday present from Blizzard. This is what I've decided. So
I'm about to make reference to us, and I want you to know the us that I'm about to reference is the listeners. Everyone listening to the show right now, happy birthday from all of us to you. Happy birthday from the Angry Chicken crew.
Aw, thanks, Garrett.
Used to be a waiter.
So well done. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, now I need a really mediocre piece of cake to be delivered to you. That'd be great. But no golden packs in the standard bundle, only in the mega bundle, which is the most expensive bundle that you can get. But there's also a Kel'Thuzad Mage Hero, which I direly need in my life.
Yeah, and it also hasn't gone up in price as far as I know. The mega bundle last time was $80 as well, correct?
I believe
it's
so.
It's American, so mine fluctuates, but yours doesn't. So
$79.99 USD is, if my memory serves, what the mega bundle cost last time. It still includes the Tavern Pass as well, which, considering how much I play Battlegrounds, it's I'll be picking this one up. So.
I'm looking forward to the golden packs. I think it's a really nice addition, and it gets to, allows people to get a guaranteed 25 golden cards, which you can then disenchant if you have no soul, or you get to look at the glittery golden animations in all of your new decks. And it just, adds an extra little bit of layer of glitter and sparkle and excitement. I'm so stoked for this expansion.
I can't tell that once yet another expansion heavily revolving around the color purple, but like kind of a pinkish
which
purple.
I love. Oh wait, you can't even wait. The ponytail makes it very hard to see. There we go. Love.
For the audio audience, which is the predominant audience of this show, right. Jocelyn is playing with her ponytail, which is dyed purple.
Which is purple.
Dyed purple, everybody. There you are. This has been Garrett's guide to the visual land of the Angry Chicken. All right. Well, before we move on and talk some cards, that's right. We got cards to talk about. We have a sponsor to thank today, and it is Raycon. They are back sponsoring this episode of the Angry Chicken. I got my Raycon earbuds sitting right here in their nice little pack that keeps them together, keeps them charging. I love these things.
So fancy.
They're phenomenal. I was using them out in the backyard this past weekend, having to cut the hedges back there for like the 3rd time because it's so freaking hot and rainy in Florida. Everything is just overgrowing like Jumanji. I tried yelling Jumanji at it, and it
didn't work.
It came out a lot louder than I meant to because I had my Raycon earbuds in, and also didn't work. Turns out, actually had to use hedge trimmers. It was a total pain in the butt. But everybody needs an awesome pair of wireless earbuds. But you don't need to drop hundreds of dollars. You just got to give the wireless earbuds from Raycon a look. Their latest model, the E25, which is what I just showed you. Yeah, it's their best one yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice noise isolating fit. I really have just been using the living crap out of these. I love them. I absolutely love them. So go check them out. Get the latest and greatest from Raycon. You're going to get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/TAC. That is buyraycon.com/TAC for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. You could listen to us. You could listen to better Hearthstone players. Whatever you want to listen to with your Raycon earbuds. So go check them out. Buyraycon.com/TAC. We thank them for their support.
So go check it out. And now, Jocelyn, let's get into some card talk, which I have not prepared a bumper for yet. So, and I won't be here next week. So unless you want to make one, there won't be one next week either.
I can make a bumper. How hard could it be?
I say that to myself every time. And it's usually followed up with, oh, this is how hard it is. But card talk, usually I just use like a funny quip from the trailer or something. So, anyways, let's get into it. So we mentioned dual class cards. Let's actually talk about the dual class cards that they previewed, starting with a legendary Shando Wildclaw, a 3-mana, 3/3 legendary druid hunter minion, a phrase I never thought I would say. But it's so cool. I guess hunter druid minion if we're going left to right, which we do here in the States, and because the green side of the border is on the left, the brown druid side of the border is on the right. By the way, I know it's like super simple design, but I love this. I love that they just split it right down the middle color wise, and you got green on the lids. It's wonderful. I thought tri-class was a little busy.
Yeah, and the other thing I love too is if you look at it next to the Lightning Bloom, which is the Druid Shaman, Druid is on the left, Shaman's on the right, so you can kind of like put them together and it's like a continuous color flow. It's not like Druid's always on the right or something. It's like, then you can put the Shaman and the Mage card next to that one, and then it's just like, and everything just fits, and it makes me happy.
What I love is how clever our graphic designer is for the video version of the show and put the cards in those pairings for that exact reason, because he's an extremely talented and smart individual.
Spoiler alert, guys, that's Garrett.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. It's ridiculous. I would never be so self-aggrandizing.
I really like that kind of visual flow that the cards have as well, and yeah. It makes it very easy to understand the classes and the pairings and stuff.
Yep. But just saying it's a 3/3 for 3 legendary, and that alone does not make it very easy to realize or figure out why this card is special or legendary. There is card text on this card, as it turns out, and it reads, choose one, give beasts in your deck +1/+1, or transform into a copy of a friendly beast.
This is so cool. Like hunters getting flexibility and choose one effects is like on the surface makes me go, no, broken. Yuck, stop. But I think everyone's going to have crazy things like this that they're allowed to do and access to effects that have previously only been available in one class. So I think this is pretty cool.
I agree. Neither, especially Druid and neither Hunter are running a lot of beasts right now. Hunter is running a few very key beasts, and Druid, unless you're still out there trying to make Big Druid happen, you're running no beasts. And if you're running Big Druid, you're running
seller doesn't count.
yeah. And if you're running Big Druid, you're running 2 copies of one beast, the Winged Guardian, which I really want to make Harry Potter jokes now. But yeah, so I don't immediately look at the first option of giving all the beasts in your deck +1/+1 as a particularly massive power play. But
now.
Exactly, right? We're in the preview. We're at the very start of the preview. They haven't shown us that many cards, despite whatever the runtime of this episode ends up being. There haven't been that many cards previewed. But either Hunter or Druid could go back down a pretty beast-heavy route. Who knows? But frankly, that hasn't stopped Hunter. And as a matter of fact, Hunter has kind of excelled with targeted beast draw plus buffing thanks to Scavenger's Ingenuity. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Hunters would mind having an additional +1/+1. Hell, face Hunters definitely, I don't think would mind having additional +1/+1. And while 3/3 isn't the most aggressive thing in the world, if your boards are hitting for one more extra, I feel like that's all it takes to convince a face hunter to consider a card. Wait, my charging minions could have one more attack? Well, it gets health too. I don't care about that. It gets one more attack. Cool. That's all I needed to know. But obviously, like right now in the with the archetypes that exist in the meta that we currently inhabit, transforming into a copy of a friendly beast, I'm like, okay, cool. I want to do that because my beasts in Hunter are huge because of Scavenger's Ingenuity. And here I have one more way to like cheat out an extra copy of a buffed beast.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great effect. And again, it gives you the flexibility and the option. And I think even the first half, if that only hits on a couple of beasts, like you don't have to make an entire beast deck to make this worth playing, because I think the stats itself are fine. And if you get into a point where you're drawing this late game and you're like, oh man, now I can't, buff my deck, there's no beast left in it or whatever. If you got something on board, then bam, it's still playable. So yeah. I think this is a really interestingly designed card, and I really, really enjoy it.
It's flexible.
I am a fan. Yeah.
If you're playing this, you have beasts somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
So even if you got this and there's nothing to make a copy of, and the less powerful move is to do the +1/+1, at least something is happening.
Yep.
So Lightning Bloom is the next dual class card we're going to talk about. It is a 0 mana common Druid Shaman spell that reads, gain 2 mana crystals this turn only, and before you go crying, power creep, overload 2.
You gotta feel a little bit bad for Shaman, though, that it's like their class identity thing is the thing that makes this card like balanced. Like they are the downside. Like, well, oh, sorry, Shaman.
It's interesting you say that, because overload is not always a downside for Shaman.
For Shaman, but
I'm fairly certain, unless we get another dual class card that has an upside for overload, I'm fairly certain that overload is always a downside for Druid.
Yeah, I don't know how Druid really makes this work, with the exception of, the caveat of not knowing what the other Druid Shaman or just the straight up Druid class cards. Although I wouldn't expect any straight up Druid class cards to play with overlay in any way, shape, or form. I would think if they're straight up class cards, they're not going to interact with another class's mechanic. But yeah, if we do see other Druid Shaman spells or minions or, the legendary, I would hope that there's some upside to overload, because otherwise this seems like, why would a Druid ever touch this?
I mean, it is more ramp. It's also a 0 mana spell and spell
but
Druid.
It's this turn only. They're not permanent mana crystals, right? So
yeah, but
you're basically borrowing 2 from your next turn.
But spell Druid currently runs Innervate.
Yes, but that doesn't impact their next turn, right? That's the thing about this, is that your next turn, you're going to be dropped back down again, which is kind of the opposite of what Druid wants to do.
Yeah, but have you lost to a spell Druid? They're not too concerned about their next turn, the turn that they go off with a bunch of free spells. Like
that is true. It is 0 mana. And you know how much I love those.
Oh, yeah. And a bunch of them are getting there's the war against 0 mana cards in the live game continues today, as a matter of fact, which we're not even sure we're going to have time to talk about those nerfs. Might save those for you next week, Joss. Although I have a feeling we'll know more cards by next week. Maybe, actually. I could see us having a week or two before reveal season kicks off. Probably should have asked that in the group interview. By the way, if anyone's wondering about the group interview that you already mentioned once, Joss, this is not something that's posted anywhere. It was a
internal Q&A.
Just ask questions. You can report on the answers, but you're not allowed to record it, kind of thing. So, anyways, I think this is still really interesting. And also, like, in the grand scheme of things, if you were going to apply overload to any other class in the game, Druid, a class that tends to have more mana than it is supposed to in a, traditional understanding of the way the game Hearthstone works kind of way, isn't the worst thing in the world. Like,
yeah, they have ways to compensate.
Exactly.
Sure.
Overload would hurt a lot more to any other class in the game that isn't ramping their mana. Mm-hmm. That being said, still.
Yeah, so the overload could bring them back down in line with their opponent.
Yeah, so they essentially get.
Then they get a fair turn.
They get a very powerful turn now for a less powerful turn the turn after, which might end up being a fair turn compared to their opponent.
Yeah.
So I really like this card. I think it's the idea of giving Innervate to Shaman and offering another Innervate option to Druid with a drawback is kind of cool. It's like, would you... I'm sure at some point a deck builder out there has gone, boy, it'd be really cool if I could put 4 copies of Innervate in my deck. Well, now you can, but 2 of them are going to have a drawback. So...
Yeah, I think this is, I'm kind of with you. I think this is one of the most interesting dual class combinations and cards that we've seen so far. It just, anything, I mean, I feel like we've been talking about this a lot more just because of the addition of Battlegrounds to the game, but anything that kind of plays with the currency of the mode is always, or the economy of the game is always going to be really interesting and difficult to balance. So anything that's playing with mana reductions on things, anything that's playing with more or less or whatever, and, you know, basically moving the power swings of your turns around, that's always going to be really, really interesting. So the fact that they've managed to combine the two classes that kind of do it best in this really cool and interesting give and take, I love this card. I really, really do. Whether it ends up being powerful or not, I just think it's super, super cool. And I think it's really well done.
Yeah. Also, another spell druid thing, did get it confirmed that Bog Beam will, like, you still get the discount trigger if you're currently overloaded, but at 7 mana.
Right. So if you have 5 available mana, 2 overloaded mana crystals, then your 7 or more mana effects will still trigger.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. If you have 7 mana crystals, but 2 of them are overloaded, Bog Beam still triggers. Don't worry. Don't worry, Spell Druids. Yeah. You're good to go. And worry anyone going against Spell Druid.
Yeah, worry anybody else.
All right, let's go on and talk about Devolving Missiles, a 1 mana rare Shaman Mage spell that reads, shoot 3 missiles at random enemy minions that transform them into ones that cost 1 less.
For flavor and artwork, I think this is my favorite thing ever.
It's also a rad effect. I mean, we have got, for some reason, Devolve is still really fresh in my memory. It is from freaking Mean Streets. We haven't had Devolve in standard Hearthstone for a very long time. So I like this a lot. I think, mean, we haven't seen a lot of cards, but I'm just like, I think we're going to find reasons to run this card.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to make a devolving deck for sure. And even over in Wild, like this, it's so cheap and it does something so cool. And it's got the little polymorph sheep and the little hex frog on the front of it. And it just makes me so happy. And the orc behind that's like trying to dodge the missiles. Like I love this art. I love this card. It's so freaking cool.
Also, if there's fewer than 3 minions on the board, or this is random, it could hit the same target more than once, furthering the transformation into even lower mana minions.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love this. And it's 1 mana. There's no overload on this, Joss. It's 1 mana spell. I know we just came out of like 0 mana hell, but so like 1 mana feels like a lot, but this is right up my alley. I like this card a lot.
Yeah.
The final dual class card that was previewed is Wand Thief. It's a 1 mana 1/2 common mage rogue minion. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
With combo, discover a mage spell.
Yeah, very specifically discover a mage spell, not discover a spell. So this is going to give you mage spells regardless of whether you slot this into a mage deck or a rogue deck.
Yes. So why wouldn't you run this? Like rogues already love getting spells from other classes from random effects that are way less specific than this. It's just like, here, get a class card. Like, but you don't know, like, with a big range, this, you know, exactly the pool that you're drawing from.
And it's a discover. It's not a random mage spell. It's a discover mechanic, which means mage spells in general are powerful. The fact that a rogue can now choose like a flame strike, they can kind of like potentially shore up their class's weaknesses, which I really, really like. I think this is an awesome design. It's cheap too, and not overstated in any way, shape, or form. And I think that it like, you know, rogues always want those cheap cards to play to activate combo effects, to buff up their Van Cleef, which how he keeps dodging nerfs, I don't know, but
you've seen the Neo meme going around, yeah?
Oh, I have, and it's so good.
It is perfect. It's just like, show me perfection, and that meme comes up.
Yeah.
Also, like, how is this not anything but better for Secret Rogue? Because like, you're gonna get a chance to find a mage secret, so it's like one more out to find a secret when you're sitting on a Shadow Jeweler, but you're like having one of those games that we've all been there. Where you're just like, I've got Shadow Jeweler. Where are my secrets at? Like, now you have at least one more chance to possibly, pull one out. Which
absolutely. And I mean, stat line and cost and everything else, like Pharaoh Cat is all in line with this, except for, like spells are just, I think, better. I've been racking my brain ever since I saw Wand Thief on whether or not I like it more than Pharaoh Cat. I think I'm leaning towards I like Wand Thief better. The thing is that Pharaoh Cat doesn't require combo. Like, Pharaoh Cat is awkward in its own right because you can get really garbage reborn minions. But there's the chance that it helps smooth out your curve and give you something to do on those awkward early turns as a rogue. But like having that, like you said, everything you said about why discovering a mage spell for rogue is attractive is playing into this for me. It's like I want to get over the combo need because I like the idea of discovering a mage spell so much in rogue. And then obviously if I'm a mage, like, why not? Mages already run cheap spells, so triggering a combo as a mage is not a huge ask. Hell, they just got devolving missiles. It's a 1 mana. Yep.
Like, I realized, like, they said they weren't going to synergize, but maybe like devolving missiles is its own thing. Maybe you just need a little more control in a mage deck that's running Wand Thief, and then devolving missiles could help trigger the combo for your Wand Thief. I don't see a world where that is completely insane. So
I think devolving missiles, like you said, it seems like it could kind of get slotted in anywhere, especially given just the way Hearthstone seems to be playing out right now. We've got, seemingly more minions than you can have removal for. There's a lot of things that synergize together. There's, even Murlocs are still out there. You've got priests that you might want to disrupt a res pool. There's all kinds of reasons to want to actually transform a minion in Hearthstone right now. So I feel like regardless of what style of mage you're playing, you probably just want to put this in.
I'm not sure I'm going to go that far,
awesome.
But I am very into devolving missiles. Very into it. So anyways, those are the dual class cards that were previewed. And now before we move on, we have one more sponsor to thank today, and it is Harry's Razors. I don't know if you noticed, Jocelyn, but I declared war on my beard.
I did notice. I didn't want to point it out, but I did notice.
Oh, no, that means you don't think it looks good.
Oh, no. No, I just didn't know if it was like done out of some necessity and made you sad or something. You've been rocking the scruff look for a while.
Yeah, I just it's
or beard.
You know how I mentioned that, like, going out back and doing yard work when we were talking about our earbuds. Yeah, it's really hot, like exceptionally hot, and yeah, so I decided off with the beard. I also, I have a little bit of a chin for the first time in a while. I won't get into reasons why. I may not have had a chin before, but yeah, so I'm abusing the heck out of my Harry's Razors. They're still my go-to, but it's been a really long time since I did a full face shave. And so let's just say, like, my ability isn't up to snuff. And it was still great. Like, I didn't have any razor burn, I didn't have any nicks. It was wonderful. I shaved my whole damn face. I got a little bit of scruff today, but I've been so damn happy with it. I've been using the crap out of their shave gel, which has some aloe in it, and I've been out in the sun a lot, so I've really been enjoying it. On top of the fact that it just smells nice, I'm just like, oh, hey, aloe. I actually have a great need for it now. So, because I kind of have beard tan. I didn't know that was a thing. That was fun to find out after I shaved it off, but like a day in the sun and I was good to go. So anyways, been really putting my Harry's Razors through their paces. So I'm more in love with them than I was before when I was just using them to keep my cheeks on my face clean, and my neck beard.
If you hadn't have said anything else, if you hadn't have specified, then I never would have taken it where you took it.
Oh, please.
Given, I wouldn't have.
I was operating on past giggles is what I was doing, and felt the need to specify which cheeks I was referring to. But also, I was using them before to keep my neck nice and clean. So anyways, you should go check them out. Listeners of the Angry Chicken can redeem their Harry's trial set at harrys.com/TAC, and you are going to get a weighted ergonomic handle for a firm grip, 5-blade razor with lubricating strip and trimmer blade, rich slathering shave gel with aloe to keep your skin hydrated, and a travel blade cover to keep your razor dry and easy to grab on the go. Just go to harrys.com/TAC to start shaving better today. We thank them for their support. We thank you for going to harrys.com/TAC. You're going to get a great shave, and you're going to support the Angry Chicken in the process. It's a win-win. Aloe. Now, let's get back to cards. Because, yes, dual class cards, very exciting, Jocelyn. We're very stoked about it. But there's a new keyword on the street, and that keyword is Spellburst. New bold text, Jocelyn. I don't know if I can handle it.
I love it, except that, I mean, especially if you look at Goody Two Shields here, it's like every word on the card is bold except the word gain. So, like, well, if everything's bold, then maybe nothing's bold.
Well, in Goody Two Shields' defense, 2 of the bolded words are the same 2 bolded shields.
That's very true.
Which, kicking us off, by the way, already winning the best name of the set, Goody Two Shields. I'm calling it, right? I am calling it. No card is going to have a better name than Goody Two Shields. But Goody Two Shields is a 3-mana, 4/2 rare paladin minion. It feels so nice to just say one class when explaining a card. With Divine Shield, Spellburst, gain Divine Shield. Now, what is Spellburst, you might be asking yourself? Well, it is a one-time activation. And it is present on minions and weapons. We haven't seen a Spellburst weapon yet, but it is confirmed that it is going to be on at least one. Well, there's an S here, so I'm going to say confirmed to be on more than one weapon. And it's an effect that happens when a spell is cast. So any spell.
One spell.
Yeah. But yeah, the Spellburst is essentially consumed once it triggers. So on Goody Two Shields, for example, Goody Two Shields hits the board with Divine Shield. Say you make a trade, someone trades into it, but it doesn't die. It loses its Divine Shield. You then go to cast a spell. Spellburst consumes, and Goody Two Shields gets Divine Shield back.
Right.
And there is an icon for the minion on board, much the same way like the little Death Rattle skull is down there at the bottom center, or the little lightning bolt is there at the bottom center. And it will be very clear when the Spellburst is consumed. And so now that our explanation of Spellburst is out of the way, let's talk about Goody Two Shields, because this is going directly into my pure Libram Paladin.
Yeah, and Pure Paladin has kind of been on the rise lately in the last few weeks. So I think that this could be just yet another tool that they get. And I mean, like I said on the last episode with Ridiculous Hat, I was really excited about Paladin, and then it never kind of materialized in the, like, I thought it was going to be day one, like the most powerful thing. That's where all my playtime's going to go. And it really just didn't hit my expectations over the course of the expansion, though it is, like I say, it's on the rise in popularity a little bit. But yeah, I think they could use a little bit of help, and this seems like a very helpful minion.
Yeah, they're in the low 50% win rates right now, the Pure Paladins. So they've eked out a positive win rate, but yeah, compared to Murloc Paladin lists that sit around the 60+% win rate, which rivals that of Demon Hunter. It's, if you want to climb,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Pure Paladin is a pick of passion. Let's put it that way. One that my passion died out pretty quickly, but I was also trying to slam it in the first 24 hours of Ashes of Outland, which meant just losing constantly to Demon Hunter. So I'm going to give it another shot.
We don't need to go back there.
As a matter of fact, I'm fairly certain I'm taking out Bronze Explorer for this, just day one. Like that is, I like Bronze Explorer, but it is definitely one of those cards that is in the deck just because we're trying to keep it pure, and it's got a lack of low drops. Bronze Explorer is kind of awkward, doesn't really synergize all that great with the deck. Way more interested in Goody Two Shields. I already know what I'm doing. Joss. I never know what I'm doing when I'm taking on day one with deck building. I just kind of this looks fun. That looks all right. Okay, maybe this will work. And it doesn't. It never does. Never does.
But we try.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 more Spellburst minions to take a look at. Diligent Note Taker is next. 2 mana, 2/3 rare shaman minion. With Spellburst, return the spell to your hand. Hot damn, I'm into this Note Taker. That's great.
Not to mention it's a Tauren with a scroll the size of another Tauren on its back, which just, again, like there's so many cute and amazing pieces of art in this set. It just makes me so happy.
By the way, they showed this card in action, and the voice of the Tauren completely belies the very adorable, studious-looking nature of the art of the card. He has a very deep voice, like all Taurens in World of Warcraft. It's great. I love it. So, I mean, this just seems good, right? Like, this just freaking seems good. I mean, Shaman, Shaman's not in a great place. Like, they have been really struggling. But Totem Shaman has found a place, and there are people keeping the Galakron dream alive out there, and they don't have terrible win rates. Like, they're kind of the poster child.
Super unpopular.
Yeah, they're a poster child for people like making fun of like how underpowered a class is. Like, Shaman is kind of the punching bag right now.
Which is crazy because, I mean, if you look at the Vicious Syndicate report, it's like it gives you like the whole history of the last like year. And it's like Shaman was just like up and up and up and evolve into Galakron. And oh my God, it's amazing. And then boom, like I don't think that there's another class in the history of Hearthstone popularity wise, like and community perception wise that has gone from so high to so low so quickly. It's just insane. And like, there's not a lot of people playing Shaman right now. And I think this is an excellent tool. The 2/3 for 2 stat line is great. The Spellburst effect is awesome too. And I think this is really, really good, and it could be way overpowered if it happened more than once. So it's really interesting. The keyword itself is very, very interesting. And I think it's going to lead to some kind of cool decisions that have to be made as a player as to, what spells to pair this with, when to actually play it, whether you just slam it on 2 for tempo or whether you hold on to it to a little bit later because you're going to need a whole bunch of wide board clears, or you're going to need more hexes than are allowed to be in your deck, or all just, oh man, it's so cool. I love it. I love this design. It's so good. Yeah,
I do too. There's the most popular Totem Shaman list right now is closing in on that 60% win rate. It's a 57 and change percent win rate right now, and I think this is aggressively statted enough to consider, because the thought of getting like another totemic reflection off of Diligent Note Taker is really cool to me. Obviously, more mutates, more Invocation of Frost if you're Galakronding, more Farsights. Like, just with what is being played right now in Shaman, which again, admittedly, not the most popular class in the game, but just with what's out there right now, just with what's getting results, I'm already interested in this card. So who the hell?
Like you said, it's popularity. It's not necessarily deck strength. Like the win rates are there. It's just a lot of like ladder specific win rates are there. It's just a lot of community perception. And so, having such a powerful card being printed and the ability to kind of flex between both archetypes of Shaman that do have positive win rates right now, I think this is just going to kind of like raise their popularity a little bit, change the community perception, and make the community go, oh, okay, maybe this isn't the worst thing ever to happen.
Yeah. And also just the design of Spellburst I like a lot. Like, it's clearly I think they were thinking about all of the infinite triggers that have existed on minions. Like, imagine a previous offender now nerfed into the ground, like Mana Worm. If it had Spellburst, like maybe you redesign the card so that it gets more than a bigger buff, but a one-time buff versus
like play a spell, gain +1/+2 or something, and then that's it forever.
Yeah, or I mean, like, it's not on here. I'm basing this off nothing. This is no inside knowledge, but like, there's nothing stopping them from putting like a ×2 on here, like Spellburst ×2. Like, you could have more triggers but still put a cap to it. Like, imagine back when Auctioneer was the thing. What if Auctioneer was Spellburst instead of just potentially infinite draws?
Yeah, like this turn only or something, or there's lots of ways that you could play with this, I think.
It's a well-designed keyword from a balanced perspective.
Yeah.
I dig it quite a bit. Final Spellburst minion is Wretched Tutor, a 4-mana, 2/5 common neutral minion with Spellburst. Deal 2 damage to all other minions. I think of the 3, this is probably the most mundane, but it's still a 2 damage potential board clear attached to a 2/5 body.
I'm surprised that it doesn't have a demon tag, to be honest, just by the artwork. It looks very demon-y to me with the horns and everything else.
Okay, that is just a little presumptuous of Draenei, and I am a little offended for our Hooven brethren.
I mean, there's but I mean, come on, she looks pretty evil. She looks pretty demon-y.
Okay, Horde player.
And demons, there's a whole lot of demons that are warped from Draenei, so come on. It's not that big a stretch. You're the Eridor. Come on.
Dark places. I want to take the humor of this train of thought, and I'm just going to let it lie. I'm just going to let it lie and just say that, listen, just because some Draenei look like Kil'jaeden doesn't mean they're all bad.
Okay, I'm just saying.
It's a school. It's a magic school. It's a Draenei warlock student, clearly, or maybe a teacher. I don't know. This Draenei that looks like she knows what she's doing.
It's a tutor. She's somewhere in between.
There you go. There you go. So she's pretty good. She's one of the higher classes, and she's teaching a lower class.
Yes.
There you go. Figured it out. But yeah, I think of the 3, probably the most mundane. Still a decent effect. It's a good arena card. Like it quite a bit in that regard. Let's get on to studies, which only one has been previewed, and this is how do we not have an official term for this? Cards that are not keywords but themes within an expansion, because Joust was, I think the first example is we had all the way back in the Grand Tournament where there were Joust cards, but Joust wasn't a keyword on a card.
Right.
It's I don't know, theme cards. So studies are a theme for this expansion, and what studies are is a type where you are going to discover a card and discount the next card played of that type. And that's exactly what the previewed study that they have shown does. It's called Nature Studies. It's a 1-mana common druid spell, and it reads, discover a spell. Your next one costs 1 less, meaning your next spell costs 1 less.
Right. So not necessarily the one that you discover, just the next time that you play a spell, you get a 1-mana spell reduction, which is really cool.
And I love next as a card text in Hearthstone because it means you can save it for another turn.
Right, exactly. It's the same. We saw a lot with the dragon minions too. The mana discount on the next dragon you play, and again, there's a lot of cool decisions that need to be made there. And I mean, the spell druid, just more cheap spells. Spell druid's here we go, Mount Seller, let's do this.
Yep. So cool card. Expect to see more studies, but this is the only one we have seen so far. And now, Jocelyn, we are out of themes, new keywords. We are just into what I am simply calling the rest of the cards that were shown.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why I'm talking like William Shatner. So let's start with a new priest minion, even though I never want to say priest again. Frazzled Freshman is the only new priest card we've seen in this preview. It's a 1-mana, 1 attack, 4 health, common priest minion, and that's it. There ain't nothing on the card. There is no card text. This is just blank. So it's a 1-mana, 1/4. I feel
like it's been a really long time since we've had an expansion come out. And I mean, I'm sure the Discord will tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's been a long time that we've had a class-specific card. So not counting neutrals, but a class-specific card that just hasn't had any text in an expansion.
Nothing jumps to the forefront of my mind, and this is not the type of thing that I'm going to scroll through every card of every expansion in the history of Hearthstone to figure out ahead of time.
But yeah, it's kind of odd that it's a class card, but I mean, I guess they felt with the priest changes, they were just missing something in that early game. They needed a body, something to do on turn 1. I don't know, but I mean, a 1/4. It's a great stat line for 1 mana.
Yeah. No, it doesn't draw you cards like, cleric.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
But I mean, it is a decent target for Apotheosis. But I'm not sure what comes out of the Cube Priest. That's all the rage now. If you're gonna put this in, also because it's what's taking up the slot right now, Imprisoned Homunculus, and that's kind of cool because it's immune while it's imprisoned. It gives you a little extra time to actually find buff spells like Apotheosis by the time it is interactable with by either you or your opponent. Like the Imprisoned is kind of an upside there. So this is something I would want to play the same turn I'm casting a spell, he thinks. So also not the sexiest thing to come out of a res pool.
Well, yeah, I don't think that you play this in anything that you are trying to res on purpose.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as vanilla cards go, it's a damn good 1-drop, and clearly the team has learned their lessons about 1-drops. If the lack of any text whatsoever on this card,
they don't have to do stuff.
Yeah. First Day of School is next, a 0-mana common paladin spell that reads: add 2 random 1-cost minions to your hand. Okay.
Guaranteed turn 1 play.
Yeah. Because right now, Pure Paladin, the Libram Paladins are running Sungil, and that's. I think there's an argument to be made for possibly sliding this in instead, because even if you get non-class minions from this, it's not going to screw up your Pure, because all of the Pure triggers are class only in your deck, not in your hand or on your board. So
you could end up with something better than Sungil for sure.
Yeah. Although
without messing with your synergies.
Yeah, Sungil is imprisoned, and again, Librams run buffs and gives you a little extra time to find buffs. But still, this is some gas. This is some early game gas for Paladin, a class that doesn't have a whole lot of it right now with the archetypes that they are trying to pursue. So, as straightforward as this card is, I'm consider my interest peaked. So.
I just like the idea of it being a free spell and then giving you something to potentially do that same turn, right? Like you just cast it. It doesn't have any real downside except for that these are going to be 2 random minions. So you just cast it and then hope, and you're probably going to get something. You can just slam it that same turn. So yeah. Good for gas.
I agree. And it's because Paladins right now, there's no synergy for casting just spells. It's casting Librams specifically.
Yeah.
So this again, in the realm of current reality in Hearthstone, this isn't scary. So this is just a very straightforward card that I kind of dig. Troublemaker is next, 8-mana 6/8 rare warrior minion that reads: at the end of your turn, summon 2 3/3 ruffians that attack random enemies. What a world we live in, where I look at this card and go, that it doesn't seem strong enough.
Yeah, it's definitely strong because it has the end of your turn trigger, which means that you are always, for your 8 mana, going to get a 6/8 and 2 randomly charging 3/3s because random enemies can hit face. So
6 damage is going somewhere.
Yes, you are going to hit enemies with 6 damage somehow. You just don't get to choose where that goes, but you're going to get it. You're guaranteed to get it.
Yeah.
So I'm torn on this card because it seems like it should be really powerful. And I mean, the 8 health is going to be difficult to get rid of. There's lots of ways to make multiples of these guys in Warrior with all the copy enrage stuff. But yeah, you're right. Like it seems like not powerful enough for current Warrior, which maybe that's okay. But it seems like it's not gonna get there, because the other thing about that 6 damage is, even if it was 6 damage all in one dude, like if it was one charging 6/6,
which I think I'd be more interested in.
Yeah, because if you're playing this for 8 mana, you're gonna be, turn 8 or later, then, is our 2 3/3s really going to make that much of a difference? Like, maybe they're enough if they both go face, if you've managed to clear the board or whatever. Maybe that last little damage is, I mean, it's like a Leroy, right? If there's no minions on board, then Leroy, end game, right?
Well, yeah.
And that's very specific, like, that's a very specific, like, board state to make this actually work. And yeah, I don't know. It just, those 2 3/3s don't seem impactful enough, and they're very, very likely going to die unless they both go face. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm really split on this card because sometimes, like, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, oh yeah, maybe it's okay. And then I kind of talk myself out of it. And I'm just, yeah, I don't know where I fall on this card.
Yeah, this is one where I think Warrior, I'm going to struggle more than most to think outside the current meta because Warrior is very successful right now.
So powerful. Yeah.
And this just seems flat out too expensive for the current decks that are being run. I mean, we have like pure pirate aggro warriors. We have tempo warriors, which are basically pirate warriors with a Grom to top them off.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like when you're for the same mana cost, you could have Grom, which you probably have ways to enrage it, but it is like absolutely charging damage that you know right where it goes. Like it's a player driven finisher, right?
Yeah.
So
plus it's been reined in a bit, but Blood Boil Brute. Like I feel we've been kind of spoiled by that. Again, the damage can't go face, but we know where the damage is going.
Well, and that has a built-in mana reduction, right?
Yeah, and we're not spending 7 mana on it at worst, which is already a mana less than this, and it's exactly less than that.
Yeah.
So Troublemaker doesn't bring home the bacon for me.
Yeah, very, very much so. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence about him. He's a wait and see, but maybe just not enough.
The next card, though, again, if we're going to be talking about things that are too expensive for Warrior, at least is so damn interesting. I want to make it work. Rattle Gore is a 9 mana 9/9 legendary warrior minion. With Death Rattle, resummon this with -1/-1. So Rattle Gore.
At first, I thought this was +1/+1, and I was like, "Wait, what?" So I kill it, and it gets bigger every time it comes back. I was like, "This is why? Why would you make this card?"
Get your devolving missiles ready.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So it's it dies, come back as an 8/8, and theme wise, this is amazing, and the spawn animation is incredible as well. Hats off to the effects department on Rattle Gore, just awesome all around. Really, there's everything all the conversation we just had about Troublemaker. I'm more interested in this than Troublemaker. But still, again, it's like, what goes out? So this goes in. Are we that interested in topping off our warrior with a 9 mana minion? This is very interesting. All of that goes out my head, and all I can think of is thank you, Team 5, for not giving this to Priest.
Oh man, you have such a bug up your butt for Priest.
I just feel like. I feel like there's a reality where this went to Priest last expansion. Just, I don't know. Like, last expansion was so bananas. Anyway, this is a supremely cool minion that I really don't know where it goes right now. I mean, the resummoning it and like freaking, I'm sorry, I got to look this up. I always forget the name of this card. The freaking, oh, of course, the first warrior deck I click on is one that doesn't run it. Re-wed Egg Warrior. There you are. Bloodsworn Mercenary. Jeez, I could not pull that from my brain.
I don't know what you're aiming for here.
Yeah, Bloodsworn Mercenary.
But yeah.
Bloodsworn Mercenary is going nowhere. The thought of copying Rattle Gore because it's damaged in any way it's nuts. Like, what a sticky minion. That yes, we're getting devolving missiles, but we've spent a lot of this episode talking about the current meta. If we're going to talk about the current meta, there's not a lot of silence going on. There's not a whole lot of transformation effects going on.
Mm-hmm. So, which makes me wonder if maybe because again, this is quite a large mana investment, but So when you resummon it with -1/-1, it's not like red, like it can't be healed. Like it can't be silenced back to a 9/9. It just is a new version of Rattlegore.
I believe it would be an 8/8 with full health. I am currently navigating to the demo video to answer that question. And I've captured a lot of these, so give me a moment. There may be noise. I apologize. And let's see what happens here. So I'm scrubbing through. No, it is fully healed when it comes back as the 8/8. So it's like white stats. It is a new stat line. It cannot be healed back up to a 9/9. But again, you're a warrior. Bring a whirlwind effect. Run it into something that doesn't kill it.
Oh yeah, no. I was just curious about how that resummoning specifically worked, because I don't remember us ever getting a resummon but shrinking minion. So it's a large initial investment with the 9 mana, right? But I don't know, maybe we could see some play like over on the wild side of things, where they have access to like recruit mechanics, so they can kind of pull it out for free as opposed to having to actually like play it out onto the board. There could maybe be something there. It's interesting anyways. It's a really cool design, because I'm assuming, does the 8/8 also have that death rattle text? So it goes like 9/9/8/8/7/7/6/6 all the way down. Like that's a lot of stats,
right? If
it manages to stick around.
Yeah. So transformation or silence is like your only way to deal with this card in a sane way. And it is in a class that can really punish this card being left up. Like, even if it like gets down to a 5/5 and you copy it as like a damage 5/4 or 5/3, now you've got 2 5/3s that summon 4/4s when they die, that summon 3/3s when they die.
Yeah.
And like,
even if you don't get it at the top of the chain, it's still a very long chain.
Yeah, it's
9 minions worth, actually.
Yes. And all the while in the back of my head, as I'm saying all of this, I'm going, this sounds a little too cute.
Yeah.
It's a little too cute.
It sounds very like complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure it works in practice, because you still got to spend a turn deploying this.
Well, exactly. Yeah. You still have to spend your entire turn going, bam, here's my 9 mana 9/9. Like, you're not doing anything else. You're not impacting your opponent's board. You're not, you have to kind of already be ahead at that point in the game in order to find the time and space to actually play this card, which is why I think maybe over on the recruit side, maybe in Wild, there's something super cool here.
I want it to be enough. I want us to be in a meta where I can just spend 9 mana deploying a bomb. But I'm not sure.
But I don't know if we are. Yeah.
We talked about it with Hat last week, and I was just like, I just want minions crashing into minions. And this is like exactly what I was talking about. I just don't know if things are so nutty right now. And I know nerfs are about to hit, or have hit. That's just a different time to talk about those changes. I don't think we are. So anyways, this is a big wait and see card for me.
Very much so.
So let's get into neutrals. We have 2 neutrals to talk about, one of which we are getting today. Cult Neophyte is up first. We are not getting Cult Neophyte today, but Cult Neophyte is a 2 mana 3/2 rare neutral minion with a battle cry that reads, your opponent's spells cost 1 more next turn. Jocelyn, can you divine the analogy I want to make?
Oh, I totally know. And the great thing about this card is that, unlike the analogy you're going to make, you can have 2.
I can, which still doesn't add up to a full Lothab, but it's a mini Lothab, and I love it.
Lothab, but you can do it twice early game if you want. Like, this is a 2 mana minion, and it's crazy. I love disrupting my opponent.
It's super diet Lothab. I love it.
But it's so not cool when Demon Hunters do it, because they do enough already. So that doesn't count. Everyone should be allowed to do it but Demon Hunters.
You got so far. into the episode.
I was so far.
I would also like to point out they did not preview any Demon Hunter cards.
They did not. No, we have not seen anything. I don't even think we know who they're going to potentially be paired with, though I would say like Hunter seems like pretty obvious to me. But maybe warlocks with like demon stuff.
Because they're going to be paired with 2, right? So that has to be it.
Although I will say the only reason that I'm saying demon hunters to be paired with hunters is because they both have hunter in their name. So
that is probably enough in Hearthstone land.
Maybe.
That is probably enough because it's like, well, I don't know who has a fondness for bandanas.
Rogues, maybe? Wait, we didn't see the other half of Rogue, right?
Oh, Rogue would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would make a lot of sense, but Rogue was already paired with Mage. Now, Rogue's got to be paired with Warrior because of weapons.
But what if Warriors paired with Paladins and...
We haven't seen a Warrior pairing, so they could still be paired with Paladins and on the other side be paired with Rogues.
Yeah, maybe.
I think Warriors going to be paired with Rogues and Paladins. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, I don't really know who would be a better, because we've seen both sides of Druid, so
I
don't know.
I'm planning a flag.
I don't envy them trying to like originally make and balance all of these pairings and all of these cards. Like, it seems so crazy.
Tinfoil hat theory before we talk about the final neutral. Do you think they went through all the pain and effort to design Demon Hunter just so they could have an even number of classes they could do dual class cards?
No.
Me neither.
No.
So let's talk about the final card that was previewed in the card we're going to get to play with today.
This is bananas.
Absolute banana town, this card. Transfer Student. 2 mana, 2/2, epic neutral minion. This has different effects based on which game board you're on.
Which is like probably the absolute ultimate card when it comes to taking advantage of the fact that this is a digital card game. Like
Zephrys.
Maybe Zephrys. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. But I mean, like, this is going to have different built-in effects in this like 2/2 for 2 body, depending on what you queue into. Like, that's nuts. Yeah. And it's a Volpira, which I just changed some of my Warcraft characters over to Volpira, and I love them. Little adorable fox people.
I can't be
I'm
short
a Volpira priest now.
I can't do it. I've tried so many times. I love goblins.
I tried being a goblin. I hated their starting area so much. I was like, I'm out.
Their starting area is amazing. What? Oh my God, we can't be friends anymore.
I know.
I'm going to transfer my friendship to a different game board. So it has been confirmed that on the Descent of Dragons board, Transfer Student will have Battlecry Discover a Dragon. Mm-hmm. And it has been confirmed that on the Saviors of Uldum board, that Transfer Student will have Reborn. So it'll just be a 2/2 Reborn for 2 mana. But only on the Saviors of Uldum board.
Right. And the thing that we don't know is if this is only for like standard boards or if we're going to have additional effects when you play this card over in Wild. But I mean, my best guesses for the other boards that are standard legal right now is like maybe you'll get from Rise of Shadows a random twin spell, because that was like that's expansion's mechanic. And then Ashes of Outland is really tricky because we didn't really, the keyword that we got was class specific, right? Because it was Outcast. We got the new class in Demon Hunter, but there is no like expansion wide new kind of keyword or anything. It was all centered around Demon Hunter. So is this going to be, if you outcast it, do something? I don't know.
But I mean, can't be. There's no way. There's no way it could be outcast because you couldn't give that to a non-Demon Hunter class. No.
Couldn't you?
No.
Well, then what do you think is
of
emblematic Ashes of Outland?
I bet it's imprisoned and does something when it awakens.
That would be the other thing is, imprisoned did get its own kind of like term, but then what would it do?
You can also like summon a random
plus
demon.
1+2. I feel like I've said gain plus 1+2 like 8 times this episode.
I mean, if they're gonna
apparently that is Joce's acceptable stat line.
If they're gonna be as straightforward as Battlecry discover a dragon for Descent of Dragons, it could be something as simple as spawn a random demon, which would be decent because demons have if you spawn it on board, you know, demons have detrimental effects when you play them. But if you could just cheat it out, that'd be cool. Yeah, I don't know. Rise of Shadows?
I feel like random demons, though, that could be so swingy because, like, what if you get an 8-drop or something?
Listen, I'm reaching here, okay? You're being nutty with Outcast. I'm gonna just be like, I don't know, let's just like slap a demon out there.
Yeah, maybe it could just say, you know, summon a 1/2 or a 2/1 or something imp, you know. It doesn't need to be a collectible card necessarily. It could be tokeny. And then if we go over to like the wild side, some of them seem pretty obvious to me. We were talking about this before the show, but if we have impacts on wild board games as well, then we've got potentially Adapt from Ungoro, Rush from Witchwood, which I think is probably super easy and straightforward. The one that I thought of that kind of made me laugh a little bit is because Boomstay brought in Magnetic. So if all of a sudden this transfer student is somehow magnetized, like, why not?
I mean, it's school-based. Who knows what happens in science class?
Maybe the transfer student didn't know what they were doing and accidentally swallowed a magnet.
I mean, how do they work?
No one knows. It's a mystery.
I believe the word you're looking for is miracle. Yeah. So who knows? But yeah, the very cool card. And now let's undercut all of this with, we're probably not playing this if we want to win.
Yeah, this is one of those super funsy cards because, yeah. These effects, I mean, discovering a dragon, great. Reborn, great. Like they're powerful 2-drop effects, but not being able to really like target it. I don't know. Does this somehow fall into the same realm as Lackeys? Because that's the last thing we got that had a fairly like low stat line, low cost, but did a random thing, right? When you generated Lackeys, sometimes you were dealing damage, sometimes you were evolving, rushing, summoning.
Yeah, but
tokens,
those were,
you know, like
those were good because the classes that had access to them could generate multiples of them with different random effects over the course of a single game. This is going to have, you're only ever going to have 2 of these unless you're cheating them back into your hand or back into your deck, and they're always going to have the same effect based on the board that you're playing
right,
on.
Based on the board, yeah.
Which is cool. But it's not good. Also, some of these effects just aren't good. Like Battlecry discover a dragon on a 2/2. Like, okay. I mean,
value. Dragons are generally good cards.
Yeah, but are you gonna put this in your dragon deck and hope against hope you end up on the Descent of Dragons board?
Descent of Dragons? No. I think you're not. I think maybe you would put this in some sort of zoo or token deck where you just want cheap early bodies on the board. And the fact that this does something else on top of being a 2/2 for 2, I think is just, you know, is the effect enough to be an added bonus? And whatever the worst outcome for your style of deck, does that break your style of deck by including the transfer student? Like I can really see this in zoo decks. I think it has potential. It's an epic, but we all get it, right? By logging in today, we get 2 copies of this card. So it still fits in with the zoo like archetype, the thing it's known for, which is being cheap. This still fits that. So maybe
you're gonna take out Evil Genius and stop generating Lackeys so that you can.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, maybe Bone Chewer Brawler. Maybe. But also, you're playing Zoo, and there's more effective climbing decks you could be playing. So, you know what? Sure. Maybe you're out having fun.
Garrett, You are killing my dreams.
Maybe you're
Stop killing my dreams.
Listen,
this card
we
is
have
really
been,
cool.
I think, extraordinarily positive on the cards that we have discussed today. So I'm just coming around and saying, transfer student, I don't think you're a very good card.
Well, you know what? I think you're adorable, and I'm going to try you in my decks for the funsies.
I think in terms of cool factor, this is like S tier, like top of the top. One of the coolest cards I've ever seen in the history of Hearthstone card design, and nowhere near there on actual power level. So, yeah, sorry, transfer student. Sorry, but I am very. We're gonna keep checking back on it because I want to know, like, what happens on the wild boards, like you said, like, oh no, what we're right on and what we're wrong on. So, you think adapt for Ungoro? I think that's right. I think it's got to adapt. Rush for Witchwood makes a lot of sense. Magnetic for Boomstay would be hilarious, even if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Rosticon's Rumble brought us Overkill.
Thank you for reminding me what Rosticon's Rumble brought us.
Yeah.
Transfer Student is now a spirit. It's now stealth for the turn you play it and does something crazy.
Yeah, it turns into a 0/3.
Yeah.
Weren't they all
Overkill
0/3s?
on a 2/2. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Kobolds and Catacombs.
That was recruiting. So maybe recruit a 1-cost minion from your deck?
Yeah.
But again, like, is that good or bad? Like, good because it would be, you know, pulling a minion out of your deck, but bad because there's no way to know out of the, you know, like 12 different possible game boards, which game boards you're going to get.
No,
like,
I mean, yeah, no, this is
recruiting.
This is a really easy good or bad to answer. It's bad because you put transfer student in your deck.
Would you stop beating up on the poor Pira? What did he ever do to you? God.
I'm channeling my inner troublemaker.
Cute little fox person. You leave him alone.
I'm role-playing a troublemaker right now, Jocelyn.
Go pick on someone your own size.
Well, I've got 3/3 ruffians. They're the transfer student size. Slightly bigger.
Then we had Lifesteal from Frozen Throne is my guess, because I feel like a 2/2 with Lifesteal is pretty on point.
It's pretty balanced.
And then by the time I got all the way back to things like TGT, I started to lose the thread a little bit because we didn't really have, it wasn't quite the same back then in terms of, like, since we've moved to this, like, 3 expansions a year, it's been pretty steady where it's like we get an expansion that's centered around a new mechanic. Some of those mechanics stick around, some of those mechanics don't. And that didn't really happen early on in Hearthstone. So the best I could think of for TGT was maybe potentially an Inspire effect, but I really don't know.
I think it should have no effect, just like TGT had on the meta of Hearthstone.
Oh, TGT, I'm so sorry. Garrett's in a mood tonight. Bully Garrett, man.
I am now in the dump on this card mood, and so all of my shade is rising.
Yeah.
All of my shade is rising.
But I think there's some good ones in here.
Popping into my head, and I can't stop myself.
So I think it's really going to depend. Obviously, it's going to be more reliable on the standard side because there's less game boards to choose from. And I feel like wild game boards, it would have to have an effect, right? Because otherwise it would just be a vanilla 2/2 if you happen to end up on one of the wild only boards.
Well, and I imagine if, like, again, no idea how hard it is to actually code this card, but I would imagine the tech for this card, if it works, and it's fairly straightforward to apply it to different effects. And this is totally the kind of card, like, we have interviewed enough Team 5 devs. This is 110% the type of card that I know they had fun making, and they were probably just sitting around having the same conversation we're having right now, going, oh, what's the effect for all the wild things? Like, there have been cards in the past, like Deathstalker Rexar, where, like, the Zombies pull was just technically difficult to pull off, and so it took way longer for them to actually give it the wild love that it deserved.
Yeah.
I don't think this is one of those cards.
No, because it's very much a checking against a list of like 10 or 12 as opposed to, what are all the beasts and all of the expansions and what would those combinations be? And, is that card text too long? And this is, I think, much more doable than a Rexar type card, while still having that kind of crazy flavor. So I think that, I hope that there are some really interesting ones. And I think that, on the wild side, Rush, Magnetic, Adapt, Lifesteal, like all of those things have the potential to be even Recruit, even to play a 2-cost card and to grab like a 1 or 2 drop out of your deck, depending on what it is. I don't know what it is. But yeah, just to pull one of those things out of your deck and then, thin the draws for your later turns when you probably don't want to be top decking a 1-drop. Like there's some value there too. So, it's going to be less reliable in wild, but yeah, still, I think potentially powerful because of the effects that were introduced in those wild expansions. So yeah, I think it just kind of comes down to what's the worst potential outcome, and do I want to, like, will it ever be detrimental to the deck that I'm playing? And I think that decision is going to be a lot easier to make in standard than wild.
Fair. I have nothing more to add. I don't think this is a good card.
And I'm going to try it regardless because it's fun.
We'll queue up against each other and have a transfer student. That actually wouldn't be that interesting.
My transfer student will kick your butt.
My transfer student will kick your butt, except we'll have the same effect because we're going to be on the same board. This is going to answer your question if you ever were one of those conspiracy theorists that was like, maybe I'm not on the same board as my opponent.
Oh.
Except it won't, because none of them will be playing transfer student. Oh!
I've always wondered if I was on the same board as my opponent.
I'm done. So, all right. There's a patch that went live today. We're going to leave that for next week. Have a strong, sinking feeling that reveal season isn't kicking off yet.
Next week, we're going to have Ridiculous Hat back on. He's going to be joining just me because Garrett is going to be on vacation. So it will be Ridiculous Hat and I that will be going over. We'll talk about this balance patch and then the kind of impacts that it's had over the week in the meta. And yeah, maybe, possibly, potentially, hopefully, cross your fingers, we'll have more new expansion news for you next week as well. So don't miss it.
Yeah. There is one more thing that we want to mention today because a good friend of ours is moving off of the Team 5 team to another unannounced Blizzard project. So Hadija, we're going to miss you.
At least they're still with Blizzard. That is a really big deal because you've just been so amazing ever since Brode left, and a lot of the team had to kind of step into these more forward-facing roles. Hadija reading a book, that was so great, and it stuck with me. I just feel like they're my best friend. I just want to be sitting in front of a fire, being read a story, and
getting
how it's all gonna happen.
It was a real treat at the summit, and if you didn't go and listen to our interview with Hadija that I got to do out at the summit, it just went on and on about how much they are a raging effects nerd. And it was so cool to get to sit with Hadija and hear Hadija talk about, I love talking to artists, and we don't do it that often on this show. We've had 2 in like the last year, which is the most in a very, very, very long time. But that kind of stuff just like really amps me up. I love listening to creatives talk about what drives their passion. Them. Yeah. And so I'm glad Hadija's still at Blizzard. I'm sure whatever game they're going to next is going to be very lucky to have their talent on board. And just keep tweeting at me about chickens, please, because that thread from last week, y'all, if you haven't seen the Hadija /Garrett /Jocelyn /Dave Kosak thread from, was it last Friday? It was last Friday.
That thing went places. Hadija knows more about chickens than I even realized there was to know.
It was incredible. if you sent me videos of your actual chickens to review, at some point I'm going to do something with that. I have a very busy week, and then I'm going to be taking some much needed time off with my wife. But anyways, just want to make mention that Hadija's just been awesome anytime we've gotten to talk to them. And I'm just feeling emotional, Jocelyn. I'm just feeling so emotional. And what is this? What is this piano? Why is there piano music playing? What's happening?
How did you get there?
Just walked over from my desk, Dave.
Okay, Peter's a chicken.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And all I want to do is talk to you about hens. Sorry, I just got so emotional that I had to don a hat that I wasn't wearing all show and sing for a moment. So keep tweeting to me about hens, Hadija, and we'll see ya. We'll see you on Twitter. Yeah, so that's. I just get very emotional when members of Team 5 leave, and
we seem to keep interviewing them.
We do.
And then they leave, and I don't want to say it's a curse, but it has definitely come up on Twitter and the Discord that we are cursed.
We are a little cursed, yeah. When they come on I think they get interviewed by everybody. Like, it's not just us. This is the way the Hearthstone thing works, like team works. But there's something about Team 5 and the rapport. It's the end of the show. Let's get we're gonna just like peel the curtain back for a second. There's just something about Team 5 and like this show specifically, and we just really get along with the devs on the team. And for us, like we had like Brode and other extended members of the original Team 5 team, Young Woo on so many times. That we got, like, I would call them friends. It's weird, but I would call them friends. And it was hard when they left. It was like, God damn, like, Brode was on like such an early episode of the show. I think it was like episode 5. Mm-hmm. Brode was on, like, that was crazy.
Really early.
Never had it took hundreds of episodes of StarCast before we had a Blizzard employee on. Well, we only hit 180 some odd episodes, but it took like 170 episodes. So like that was crazy. And then like they just kept coming on. And when the first the round of Team 5 folk left, like it was like, oh God, this is crazy. I don't know, like it might feel different, and it didn't, because everyone else that kind of took over the Team 5 spotlight, like they're all so very much cut from a similar cloth. Everyone's obviously individual in their own way, but like they're giant freaking nerds, and like clearly you and I, Joss, like react to the Hearthstone brand of humor.
Yes.
Quite well, and that is kind of the thing that I really feel kind of permeates the entire team, regardless if it was like OG Team 5 or like middle years Team 5 or the more modern group of folk that are making the game. And it's just it never feels that, like, I don't know, stuffy. Like, you know, mm-hmm. I've had a really good experience with basically every team with Blizzard I've been lucky enough to get access to and like do interviews with and stuff. But the members, the folks from T5 are always like just super, they're just stoked. They just want to talk, to like show you the cool thing they made. Like it reminds me a lot, again, to come back to the art thing, about hanging out with my buddies in art college. And like when it wasn't critique day and you were just like, oh, just look at the cool shit that I drew last night. It's not for a project. I just did it for fun. Look at this really cool thing I'm proud of, everybody. Yeah. And that's the vibe I get. And yeah, so that's why we pointed out when folks leave, because we're gonna miss them. We talked about Ben Thompson last week. That was another one that's just like, one of the greats.
But it's okay. Hadija's still with Blizzard somewhere on some super secret something, and whatever it is, it's gonna be amazing. I'm just putting it out there.
Indeed. So that's gonna bring us to the end of this very Scholomance. I have to stop myself from saying Scholomance, which is what I used to call it for like the longest time. But this is extremely Scholomance focused episode. Hope you enjoyed it, everybody. I am particularly excited for the new expansion. And thank you for listening. And huge thanks, by the way, if you support us on Patreon. If you don't, but you like the show and you thought to yourself, I really like those two dorks. I'd like to support them. Well, you're in luck. I'm about to tell you how you can. Patreon.com/TAC is exactly how you can support the show. You can give however much you would like. It's an opted subscription. You set the amount. So go check it out. We have some perks for you, like access to our Discord and an ad-free feed. And you just support the show. It's great. Go check it out. And huge thanks to our producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. Thank you so much for the support, you too. If you'd like to catch the back catalog of Angry Chicken episodes, you can head on over to amove.tv/TAC. Don't know why I did a high C there. Or, youtube.com/amovetv, amove numerical 2 for the full-length uncut VODs. Just go check it out. We're all over the place. Joss, where can folks find you when you're not being an angry chicken?
You can find me over on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joce Plays. That's JOCE Plays. Also, go and check out For Azeroth, which is my Warcraft podcast. We just joined the fine folks over at Warcraft Radio. So, go and check us out and them out. It's a whole lot of awesome Warcraft content creators over there. So go and see.
Do it. I am Garrett Art on Twitter. Can highly recommend the chicken thread between Joss, myself, Khadija, Dave Kosak, and
I love how that somehow just became content that needs to be recommended.
I'm recommending it.
It's a good read
because Twitter has been a dark place for the last 3 months for me and anyone who logs into Twitter, frankly. And that was it reminded me why I ever liked Twitter, because I kind of don't anymore. So it was just pure joy distilled in complete random internet memery. And I liked it. So can't recommend enough. Check out everything else over at amove.tv. We're speaking of other members of other Blizzard teams. We're talking to AZ Jackson from the Heroes of the Storm team this week on Into the Nexus. I would recommend listening to it. I think it might be a good one, considering AZ Jackson has a lot to do with the balance of Heroes of the Storm. So go check that out. We'll see you next time. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Yes, had to think about that for a second. But until then, job's done.
Job's done.